Hello, World Civ 106 classes. Welcome to week 11. I'm putting out this announcement a little bit late because I've been distracted. I think we've all been distracted. And no matter what side you are on, you're probably feeling a little stressed and a little frustrated and a whole lot of things. And no matter what result shows, it's pretty clear that America is really divided. And that's all I'm going to have to say on that topic right now. So, in my class here, as we all study together, unitedly, we're covering a lot of information this week. And I wish I had more time to teach what I want to and then separate the subject matter into different weeks. In this case, I really... the reason why I incorporated going over the Celts and Vikings and aspects of Iceland mixed with Christianity is I wanted us to conceptualize more of the background that Europe had prior to Christianity and some of the aspects of pre-Christian Europe that actually creep in long after Christianity takes hold. And I just thought this would be a very interesting way of tackling and conceptualizing more or less how this all went down. Now, I do a part on the canonization of the Bible. I want to remind all of you that the book, what's the one? Da Vinci Code. I think I mentioned it in one of my lectures. I'm pretty sure. It is misinformed a lot of people. Now, it's not a history book, it's a novel, but it's still... many people have it in their minds that the Council of Nicaea with Constantine is where the Bible came into being. And then these other books were rejected at the Council of Nicaea. Nothing about the Council of Nicaea has anything to do with the Bible, formation of the Bible. It was only really about the nature of Christ and the nature of his physical, of his earthly life to his supposed divinity. That's it. Okay? So that is something that's really important to realize. And I just want to remind you all that I think that this is important since we are so much a part of the culture of Christianity. And the Bible... most people just are not given any opportunity to understand the complexities and the history of why books got into the Bible. Now, I don't get to cover that like in the most detailed way, and I don't necessarily get to answer all those questions, but we do get to see that it's been a long, turbulent history regarding the exact content of the Bibles that you have. So just to remind you, like the King James originally had books that the Catholics have now in their Old Testament that most Protestants don't. Protestants took out books of the Bible. They did. The Catholics didn't add them, but the Catholics have books in the Bible that the Jews don't have. So in that way, the Protestants say the Catholics added them if they count the Jewish canon as the authentic portion of what would be considered the Old Testament. Not everybody's going to follow this discussion, especially if you don't have a biblical background or were not raised religiously. And one of the things that I also wanted to go over and to conceptualize is the way that European knowledge of its past was really crushed by the Roman expansion. In other words, I mentioned this in some other classes. So not all my 106 classes have this topic mentioned, but I want you to think about the Renaissance is the is going back to Greece and Rome, not to the cultures of the people in Europe that were thriving, and their religions and their gods before Greece and Rome. Iceland is the only country that mainly has preserved texts that give us an idea into the pagan world of the Germanic tribes prior to Christianity. And that's why I wanted to emphasize so much about Iceland. And so, Europeans lived like Native Americans and people in Africa, indigenous people all around the world. Tribal gods, conflicts between with tribes that are your neighbors, sacred sites, animism, spirits of lakes, of trees, all of that. And it's the Roman world. Excuse me. It's the Roman world that eradicates that in Europe, and ultimately imposes the Roman way, and then more significantly the Christian Roman way onto the European world, at the expense of the indigenous religion, culture, and practices of most of Europeans outside the periphery of what is now Italy, for example, right? So something I want you to think about. I have an article that I'm putting here on white nationalists that are embracing Norse mythology. And actually, they're doing it with Slavic paganism and Celtic paganism too. This is very frustrating. So I just wanted to also point this out. I, for one, I see the pre-Christian European world similarities with people in Africa and the Americas and what is now New Zealand and Australia very inspiring, and realizing that we really have so much of our shared human history and very much more similar than we realize. And it makes me realize also about like what are the elements that created the world the way it is now, with the racism and imperialism and colonization and dominance and the problems there. Now, for me, looking at pre-Christian Europe, I find interesting and seeing it as creating a universal way of looking at humanity. But there are certain people within Europe and in America that are focusing on the fact that this is the original gods of Europe, and how they form it as the original white gods. And they turn this knowledge into more exclusionary, more supremacist idea. This is our own unique culture, and we need to get rid of everybody, so their argument goes, that gets in the way of us keeping our civilization the way it's been for thousands of years. And so it's a very disappointing kind of situation, and it's one to keep in mind that if you take interest in this history and you get on YouTube, you will end up stumbling into some of these characters that have this kind of ideology that they're also using to kind of bring people into their white nationalist agenda. And I just want you to all keep that in mind as well. So I hope mainly that you look at this whole section and find it interesting and fascinating, that that it can maybe even be a great distraction a little bit, learning about the Icelandic sagas and some of that from what is going on now, because we know that no matter how the end results are going to be, the United States has a lot of issues that need to be resolved, and the election's not going to calm that down. It's going to accentuate that, and we're going to need to actually really think. I don't know. It's an existential question, a crisis that we're facing right now. But I'm not resolving that in this class. So for now, I want y'all to think about section. I will say this. I want you to think about a fun word, and I'm going to end it on this note. There's two Icelandic expressions that I really appreciate. Heimsker. It's a word for calling somebody stupid. Now, I don't like that word, okay? But heimsker means from home. That's where you hear the word heim, home. Remember, Icelandic, the language is related to English because we're a Germanic language. Home, heim. Heimsker. And that's a suffix saying a homebound person, basically, something like that. That's what they use for saying someone's dumb. If you live, the concept is, if you never leave your comfort zone, your house, it's not that you're dumb, like you're intellectually deficient. It's just that you're going to have a very limited perspective on the world if you are stuck in one place. And so I like the concept of heimsker as to remind us that you can be hyper intelligent, but if you limit your access to understanding the world, then you may find yourself being heimsker. And so I feel that word is less of an insult and more of an explanation to a problem that a person can have. And any of us can have that, right? Then there's another phrase that is very positive. It's þetta reddas. And forgive me, anybody, my Icelandic accent is probably quite problematic. But þetta reddas, it means in the end, it'll all work out. It'll all work out in the end. It's about having a mental determination to be positive that whatever comes your way, you're going to get out of it. So my fellow Americans, I would like us to not be heimsker, and I would like us to all to have the attitude of þetta reddas, that we are going to get out of whatever happens, and we're going to get to the place we need to go. And I just thought I would end it there, and we'll be in touch. Have a good week and good weekend.